Hi everyone, welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. Today is Monday and I am checking in pre-reading today. I am about to start The Hunger Games and I am super excited because I used to love these books and the films. I have just decided what 6 out of the 7 tabs are going to be. Feelings for show, which I feel like we're not going to have a lot at the start, and we may not even have a lot in this. Genuine feelings, which again I feel like we're not going to have a lot of, and my favourite one, the one I'm really interested to read the books in mind with, is demisexuality, because I heard a theory years ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, that Katniss was demisexual. So it's not that she's not attracted to people, it's just she genuinely has to fall in love, has to spend the time falling in love. So really interested to see if I can read it with that in mind. The next 3 were suggested by Lily, whose channel I can't remember the name of, but I'll just put it in the description because she loves the Hunger Games, and that she is one of the co-hosts for a Hunger Games Readathon, which actually doesn't start until next month, but I wanted to read it with romance in mind, so I'm just starting slightly early. But yes, so PTSD and trauma, districts versus the capital and greed, that's blue, not dark blue, and war and violence. So I've got this one left, so one might spring to mind, but at the moment nothing is immediately coming to me, so we will see. So I'm only 20 pages in, but I'm just saying that I have decided what purple is going to be for now, but I've put it as rebellion for now, because whilst there isn't a big rebellion in this, there's talk of rebellion from the start. I was initially putting it in capital versus the districts, but I've decided no, I'm going to kind of have it as its own thing. But yes, so I'm going to start reading this now. I have my nicely themed star-crossed lovers candle, and I've just been to the shops to for something to do, honestly, but I picked this up. Now I do also have this copy, but this is obviously a library copy, and if you watch my last vlog, I literally saying it, I really wish I had my own copy, because I really wish I could have made some annotations in it and let Sam borrow it, and this was £2, so obviously I'm going to buy it. So yeah, I'm very excited by that. I'm going to lend it to Sam. Sam's going to have it for now. And then it can go on my shelf with all my other Hollyborn books. With dinner, I've decided what I'm going to watch is The Notebook, because I have never watched it. I was planning on reading it, but couldn't find a copy from the library. And The Notebook is meant to be the peak romantic film, and it's also not. Like I said, I haven't watched it, haven't read it, but I went to that Hollyborn talk at Yauk, and I know she talks about how there's a scene in it where the guy, Ryan Gosling, and I think that's partly the reason why everyone likes it, because Ryan Gosling's in it, but where he hangs off a Ferris wheel kind of thing and threatens to drop himself from it if the girl doesn't say yes to going on a date. That is not romantic. That is emotionally abusive, so don't do that, guys. I've already got two notes actually, for demisexuality, because in the same paragraph, Katniss says, "How could I leave Prim, who is the only person in the world I'm certain I love?" And then, "There's never been anything romantic between Gale and me." I'm not saying we should be going with Team Gale and Team Peter, because we have moved on. We are better people now. But I'm still Team Peter, and I will be until the day I die, because I just think he's a nicer person. And my mum was Team Gale, but I'm pretty sure that's just because she liked the look of Liam Hemsworth more than Josh Hutcherson. But I like Josh Hutcherson, and I thought he was a nice character, and he was nicer because he was more genuine, and I don't know why Gale liked Katniss other than he could. She was the only one he'd ever vaguely liked, so just throwing it out there at the start. I will be very pro Peter throughout this, but it's just, I didn't think I knew the story quite so well, but like I'm only on the first chapter, but I feel like it's just all rushing back to me. I feel like I recognise the story. It's kind of it's not necessarily a happy story, because obviously it's not, but it's like making me happy that I recognise it. So I'm enjoying it so far. All 20 pages of it. Hi everyone, I'm just quickly checking back in to update you on my progress with this, and also a bit of a book haul, but we'll deal with that when that happens. Last night I reached part 2, which is the game. They just had the revelation in the interview, and obviously that's a big shock. That's a big romantic shock. And I was thinking as I read this, if there's like, I mean, he could have just been putting it on the show. Like, to be fair to him, yes, he could have done. That could have been his strategy, and that's fine. Like, it worked as a strategy. They both got out alive, and then they did seem to genuinely fall in love. So that's fine. But if he genuinely did fall in love, I can't imagine how difficult this would have been for him. Like, he's never interacted with a girl he loves before, and the first time he does, she's just decided she's going to hate him because she has to hate him, because she's never going to get the chance to be with him, and her whole mission is to kill him. And I just can't imagine how horrible that must be. So yeah, but there's a lot of times where like I'm like, oh yeah, Katniss is so demisexual, where she just might be being like really unobservant, but a lot of the time she says stuff like, oh, it's just meant to demean me, right? It's not actually meant to be a compliment, is it? It's just really, really cute. There's a few bits where it's like feelings for show, and then there's a few where like it's genuine feelings, where she just calls him a friend. A lot of the time when she's talking about Gale, he's like referring to having a family or having children, and she's just like, I don't know why he's talking about that with me, and just like, because you're blind. But I think Gale has feelings for her, which I think is a bit weird, but I mean, people have feelings for whoever. So yeah, that's where we are with our tabbing so far. I am 160 pages through. This copy is 450 pages. So basically this evening I'm going up to see my sister, who isn't in London but kind of is outside of London, but just outside of London, that like as I'm in London I'm halfway there. So, you know, get the train to her. I may read some on the train, I may read some whilst I'm waiting, I may read some tomorrow because she's like riding in a demonstration. So I've gone up to watch that, and basically at the moment, which is my other update, well, one of my other updates, I'm also listening to The Priory of the Orange Tree again. I think I'm going to read it twice this year, so I'm going to listen to it once and then I'm going to go through and annotate it. But basically, I'm listening to it to get a summary of each of the chapters, because I vaguely want to host a read-along for it and split it up over many weeks and do like 3 chapters a week, but I want to listen to it to make sure the next chapter isn't like a cliffhanger, so you don't stop in chapter 3 and then, I mean, people have the choice to carry on if they want, but I just thought I'm gonna go through it, listen, but it seems to be using up a lot of my battery life, so I don't know if I'm gonna read this on the train or if I'm gonna listen to it, but it's better to listen when I'm on the train, especially because it's a long journey, but it's lots of little journeys, so I don't know. But I'm really enjoying that second time round. I don't know if I didn't pay attention the first time I read it, but like the first time I read it, I kind of like dipped in and out a lot of the time. But when I'm re-listening this time, I just realised how gay Ead is so early on. She's just always talking about how pretty Sabran is and how she gets like a thrill through her. And I'm also really enjoying listening to it again with hindsight, so I can pick up on all these small details. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I love that book. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually reading it because I'm going to annotate it. Not like this and just stick tabs in, but I will be doing that. But when the paperback comes out, I'm going to get a copy just to write on and make notes on. And yeah, super excited by that. But what I am mainly here for is to do a book haul. So as I probably will show you, I went into London today and went to some bookshops. Now, I don't know why I went in expecting not to spend a lot of money, because obviously I was going to bookshops, and especially when they're independent bookshops, I have trouble just walking out because I feel like I should be supporting them. And so I did actually have to leave London a bit early because I was like, no, I've either got to come back now and have some food and have time to sit down, or I'm going to stay out, spend money on food and go to more bookshops and spend more money at bookshops. So I decided to come home, have a sit down, put my phone on charge and do a book haul. I went to 5 bookshops. I went to Judd's Books, Gaze the Word, Persephone Books, Word on the Water and Bookmonger. I went to Judd's Books first, and honestly I was a bit overwhelmed because it was just kind of organised by author throughout the whole thing. I think there was some more downstairs, but I didn't venture downstairs. But the room I went in, it was just like shelves to the ceiling of just books organised by author. And I think they had a couple of sections, but fiction was just fiction, unless fantasy was downstairs. And I was just like, there are so many books. And so I looked around a bit and then I did walk out. But then I went to Gaze the Word, which I was super excited to go to. And I'd come up with a list of books that I vaguely liked the look of, because otherwise I just go in and look around and pick one out and don't know if I'll like it. So I thought if I make a list of ones, to be fair, I still don't know if I'll like, but that I hope I'll like. I've heard good things. There are people I trust who have rated them. So I was looking around, actually couldn't find any of the ones I was looking for. So I was like, oh, that's a shame. So I went to go and pick up another one. But then honestly, when I was looking around filming, there were like lots of like feminist graphic novels. And I quite like a feminist book. I have like a feminist bookshelf. So I thought, oh, let's have a look at this. And then I was like, oh, normal graphic novels. And that was what I was looking for. I was looking for some graphic novels. I've noticed over this month, I really haven't read many gay books, and I think that's such a shame. But honestly, I think Heartstopper might be the only one. So I was like, oh, that's a real shame. I would have liked to have read some more gay books. There was Red, White and Royal Blue there, which I have heard a lot of good things about, but when I've heard bad things, they've been like really bad things. And so I didn't really want to spend money on that, especially because my library has a copy and I think I've got it on hold. So like when it comes through, I'm going to read it. The books I brought were these. I brought 3 books from there. The first one I got was Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. So I just think that looks really cute. Gay princesses. It's like nice and colourful on the inside. It's going to be really short. I think at the very least I'm going to read this one before the end of the month. The author of this is the same one who wrote the Tea Dragon Society, which I've heard really good things about, and nearly got that instead. But I'm just going to show you like the end pages. Can you see? It's got the princesses on and it's really cute. And also like bookmark, because they always give you a bookmark. So yeah, I was very excited to find that. I decided to come home in the end because I spent a lot more at Gaze the Word than I wanted to, and this is the reason. It's called On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden, and it was £25, but it's actually really, really big for a graphic novel. Like, there are some pages, that was a bad example, where there is only one, but like other ones with other, and they've got colours. I just think this is something that Sam would really, really like, and so I want to read it first, but I genuinely think Sam would love this. This sounds a bit like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and it's gay, and it's a graphic novel, and it's spacey, and I think he'd really like it, so hopefully I can read it at some point and then lend it to him. What I decided to do instead was buy the third book, Heartstopper Volume 3. This isn't meant to come out for another week. Like, today's the 28th. I'm pretty sure it wasn't meant to come out until the 6th. And I said this to them and they were like, oh yeah, well, usually when that happens, we get a note saying don't put it out until then. But we didn't, so we thought, let's just put it out now. So yeah, I'm super, super excited. I text Sam saying, I picked this up, and he was like, good choice. So he owns the first 2 volumes, so I will read this week at the very least, read this, and then I can give it to him, because whilst he's read it, because I think he follows her on her Patreon page, he'd obviously probably like to read the actual one. So yeah, super, super excited for this. Next, I wandered up to Persephone Books, and there was like, that atmosphere in there was amazing. The books in there are all kind of like a grey cover with a little white square with the title on, and then as you go around on the shelves it's just the books, and then each book has really cool end pages, and then each book comes with a bookmark that matches that, and you get it for free or you can buy it for 50p. And I really, really wanted to get one from there because I think the work they do in Persephone Books is really good, but a lot of them caught my eye, but none of them made me think, yeah, I really want to buy them, because I'd spent more in Gaze the Word than I wanted to. I thought, no, I'm not going to buy one yet. But there were a few I made note of, so like if I did want to go and buy one, I could go back. Then I walked down to Word on the Water, which was amazing. Like, it was a bookshop on the water. It was so cool. And there were just some books outside, and then I was like, oh, more books inside, I'll go inside. And once you actually got on the boat, you couldn't tell you were on a boat, which was a bit weird, other than when you looked out of the water and the like water was at your eye line. There were loads of books in there, like classic YA, there were some secondhand, there was some that he buys in, and he had a couple of dogs on there and it looked really cozy, and I think the guy actually lives on there. And the one I decided to get from there was The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting by Holly Bourne, because as we've already established, I like me a Holly Bourne book, and it had sprayed edges. I mean, it's actually got some like water spots, so I don't know if that was like before he had it, but I like to think that it's been waterloved whilst on that boat, because then that will remind me that I got it on the boat. I don't actually know anything about this other than it's a Holly Bourne book, so obviously I want to buy it, so. And the final book I brought, I went to Brixton to get from the Mingin bookshop, which wasn't what it was called. But again, this was like really, really packed in, loads of books, loads of weird separations. There was one bit that just said English male authors. Most authors are male, you don't need to like classify them, because I don't think there was a bit for female authors. But there was sci-fi, fantasy. It was a bit difficult to work out because again it was just kind of loads and loads of books and you couldn't see all of them. But I went up to the children's bit and got Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I have heard people talk about this on the book Twitter sphere, and so thought I'll pick it up. So yeah, this will be good. I think this will be quite cute. I haven't read loads of middle grade books, so I'm excited to read some more. So yes, that's my mid-London trip book haul. I am hoping to read some of them soon, don't know when I'm going to read the rest. And yeah, when I've read some more and actually have thoughts, I will check back in with you. Hi everyone, it's now about 3 o'clock on Wednesday. I've been to my sister's, I'm back now, and I'm just checking in to say hi, mostly. But I'm about 250. I have just finished page 250 of the Hunger Games. I've got about 200 pages left, and I honestly don't think it's going to take me very long. I think I will be maybe done before dinner. I was on the train earlier for maybe an hour and I read about 80 pages. So yeah, by that reckoning, it will take me about 3 or a bit hours to finish the rest of it. So that's what I'm going to do now, because I am quite tired because I had to get up. Well, my sister had to get up early and that woke me up. And I only got about half an hour of sleep extra after she went. So yeah, I'm quite tired today, so I am just going to sit and read this. I have about 40 minutes of the notebook left to go, and I have many thoughts on that, but I'm going to save them all until I'm done. My other plans for the evening are to read these two. Not necessarily for this evening, but these two are my next priorities, because I think Sam's going to want to read this. And I feel like Sam might also want to read this, but I just really want to. So they are my next priorities. And if I can finish on a sunbeam as well, I will. But yes, so I'm really enjoying this, of course, still. Looking forward to reading some more. I had another thought about Peter's proclamation of love, which I could have said earlier, but I don't think I'd read the reaction to it when I last checked in. But basically I was thinking what he said was a lot like a public proposal, and some people feel like mixed things. Some people think it's great that, I mean, not great that they're like declaring their love in public, but great that it's in like a place that they can visit and it's memorable and they might have nice pictures. Some people will get the crowds involved, but also there's a lot of talk about how it's a lot of pressure to say yes. Like, if you're down on one knee in the middle of Trafalgar Square and there are like, I don't know how many people in Trafalgar Square, but like 1,000 people around you, say, and everyone sees you get down on one knee, everyone knows what to expect, so everyone's waiting for you to give that answer. There's a scene in the flat share, which is a bit spoilery, but there's a scene in the flat share where something similar happens. And because everyone reacts actually before the person gets to answer, there then causes a lot of friction because people don't know the genuine response. And so I thought about this, that was actually a very similar thing to do. And obviously in this case, that was tactical. It was to make a point, to do something to get the attention, to make everyone aware of this romance. But it also kind of forced Katniss to respond in a similar way. And so it could be a pretty crappy thing to do. And as I thought about it more, I mean, maybe I didn't think it when I was younger, but now I'm thinking about it, I was like, that's actually not a very nice thing to do. But obviously I love the book and I love Peter, so I'm going to forgive him. But that's problematic in its own way, that I'm like, oh, I love Peter anyway, I'll just forgive him. So yeah, I'm going to finish reading that. I'm going to snuggle up in my blanket. I look like I was in Hufflepuff the other day, now I look like I'm in Gryffindor. I have my cup of tea here because I'm actually quite cold, but I think that's tired, and also the house isn't very warm, and whilst it's sunny, we are still in England in January. I'm just gonna read a bit, upload last week's vlog to YouTube whilst I'm reading, check in with you when I've got more to say about the romance in that book, because we've been without romance for a while, which is quite nice, honestly. Having read all the romance I have, not having a romance is quite a nice break. Hi everyone, it's now Thursday morning and I'm just checking in again because I obviously fell asleep really early yesterday and I finished this, but couldn't really comment on it because I was so tired. I fell asleep at about 9:30. I was planning on getting into bed about 8:30, but then one of the cats went missing and I just panicked and was like, where's the cat? So I have finished this. Can you see all the tabs? There are many tabs. It was really good to have themes, I found, in this rather than specific things. Because when I've done like other books, it's like kissing, genuine feelings, rather than themes like rebellion, greed. And so it was more interesting. And it means I've got a better range of colours in there. Like there's more pink at the end because that's feelings for show. And there's not really any at the start because obviously she didn't have to show her feelings. But I just thought I'd show you my tabs. This is the same one I started with. I think first we ran out of Demi. And after that I can't remember. It was either greed or war and violence, which isn't really a surprise. I was surprised to see Demi go so early. And then I think actually genuine feelings went before feelings for show, because throughout the arena I found that Katniss had like genuine feelings for Peter, which brings me on to one of my points, but I'm just gonna like finish it. Like I had to move on to a different sheet. Green one was PTSD, which I wasn't surprised I didn't have as many of, because obviously they haven't been into the arena for most of the book. But I was amazed at how much PTSD there was already. I mean, after the arena, there's obviously a lot, but before that, there's Katniss's memories of her father and her mother being shocked by her father's death, and also how other people have died. She's constantly remembering that. So there was actually quite a lot in here, more than I expected. I really found it interesting to read with demisexuality in mind. And having finished it, I can like definitely say I think Katniss is demisexual. There were just lines here and there that really made me think it. I really like the line where it's the first time I've ever kissed a boy, which would make some sort of impression, I guess, but all I can register is how unnaturally hot his lips are from the fever. That just made me giggle. One bit that really stood out to me as screaming demisexual to me, because it's something kind of I feel. Like I am very much in love with Sam, I will say it all the time. But if other people are around, I don't like say it all the time. Like the one time I really remember was in my house in third year. Sam had had like a couple of drinks and he wasn't drunk, but he was kind of like happy tipsy. And loads of other people were around, and when I walked out the room, he was like, "I love you." And I was like, I don't want to shout it. I don't like that kind of shouting of my feelings. It may just be me, it may not be a demisexual thing, but there was a similar thing in here where Katniss knows that Haymitch wants her to say something, and she says, "I want to draw away to close those shutters again, but I know I can't." It's as if I can hear Haymitch whispering in my ear, "Say it, say it." I swallow hard and get the words out. And obviously, depending on how you read it, that could be a trauma thing that is kind of a result of her having watched her mum and dad fall in love and then seeing her mother break down when her dad dies. So it could be a result of that, but I like to think it's kind of like her being demisexual. But I had thoughts about the books that I wrote down. My main one is, I think she genuinely has feelings for Peter. There is a lot of Orange in here, and Orange is genuine feelings. A lot of the time, she gets these feelings of hope and fear and pain and confusion because she's got feelings towards him, because she's scared he's going to get lost or hurt or die, and that she actually genuinely feels something, but she feels guilty because Gail's at home, and she feels like if she should love anyone, it should be him. And so I think she's genuinely got feelings for him. And I know I said in one of my earlier clips I wasn't sure if Peter was doing it for show, like maybe he genuinely loved her, but maybe it was just a tactic. But I take that back. Peter seems genuinely really upset when he finds out that Katniss has put it on for show. And I do remember that now, but I'd obviously forgotten it. So I think Peter genuinely had feelings for her, and I think Katniss had them for him too. Along the same lines, I think even if Katniss didn't have love feelings for him, she was definitely falling for him. I don't think she necessarily has a crush, but I think she genuinely falls in love with him. But I think it takes her a long time, and that kind of goes with those feelings of demisexuality. On another note, I know a lot of people had a problem with the epilogue of Mockingjay, where, if you haven't read it, spoiler alert, her and Peter get together and have children. I think a lot of people had a problem with it because it was so random. The war just finishes and then you get this. And I didn't ever really have a problem with it. Maybe just because I wanted that fairy tale ending. I think fan fiction kind of filled that gap. It seems so weird because, like I said, it just happened. But I think a lot of fan fiction kind of filled that, her falling in love with him again. Or continuing to fall in love with him. And so I don't think it was a problem in itself. I think it was just we missed something. And I don't think Suzanne Collins could have written another book. Or at least another whole book that would fill that, but she almost needed at least like 2 more chapters or something just to show those two didn't absolutely hate each other still, or didn't completely feel separate. I think she just needed to show them being traumatized children falling in love again. But I don't know as well if people have a problem with it because they can't imagine Katniss as a mother, but having read this, I can. Like, she's so good with Rue. She's obviously good with Prim as well, but in this, she's so good with Rue, where she looks after her, she makes sure she's okay. She puts Rue before herself, and she's got no reason to do this. And she would be such a good mother, but she just doesn't see herself as a mother. And it's another thing I thought of when I wasn't reading it, I was just genuinely thinking of it. She says at various points, I'm never going to have a child, even if I win, I'm never going to have a child, because just because I'm the victor doesn't mean that my child doesn't get put in the reaping pool. I can't imagine having children in these sort of circumstances. It must be horrible to have children and watch them go in for this reaping and possibly die, and especially in District 12, go in and die. Like, once they've been called, all bar 4 exceptions in 74 years, that's 148 tributes and only 4 of them have survived. I can't imagine what that must be like for parents there. I don't know if I'd be able to have children in those sort of circumstances. I really want children, and I'm sure I'd still really want children, but I just don't know if I'd be able to put children through that kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure in the circumstances I'd feel different, but then maybe I wouldn't. I don't know, it's just, I think she's got every right to think I wouldn't have children. I did cheat a bit reading this, but I said it was towards romance, because I said I wasn't going to read any non-romance, but I mean, I read Twilight, and I couldn't not read this with romance in mind. I think it was so interesting to look at how romance is portrayed in this, because like I said in one of my earlier clips, the romance was the big thing that all our media sold, but it's the big thing that all their media sold, that Katniss has to perform as this sweet, innocent, in-love girl. And that's why she committed all this rebellion. And that genuinely is why she committed rebellion. In this book, she doesn't mean to rebel. The stuff she does that is rebellious was coincidental. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. I loved it. I rated it 5 stars. The second book I read yesterday was fortunately really short because I'm not sure I could have survived a lot longer. But it was Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. This was about one princess that rescues a second princess, and then they go on a variety of quests to slay ogres and win back kingdoms. I rated this one 4 stars because I really, really, really enjoyed it. It made me smile a lot, like genuinely I found myself smiling. It had persons of colour, it has plus size characters, it has people that don't conform to gender conventions, like both female and male. It has princes that aren't happy with what they are made to do. It has princesses that want to be queens and princesses that don't. It also has a fat-phobic character, and that character is slain, but the character that is plus size doesn't feel the need to change, doesn't feel the need to lose weight or anything, and it was just really, really well done. And yeah, the romance was really cute and I really enjoyed it. The illustrations were also great, and it was quite funny actually at times. I did find myself like snickering. Yeah, there's one bit here which was possibly my favourite bit, and Princess Amira says, "I'll protect you, Sadie. I have a sword and a unicorn and kick butt hair." And Sadie says, "It's true, your hair is kick butt." I mean, she does have kick butt hair, but yeah. I only rated it 4 stars because even though I really enjoyed it, it was so short. Like, for £11, I kind of wanted a bit more. Like, I can't criticise it more because, I mean, the illustrations were great. It was colourful. I mean, it was worth the money, but it was 53 pages long, and that's including an epilogue. The actual story was 47. I would have loved for the story to be a lot longer because it just kind of happened and then finished, but I wouldn't have rated it any lower because I did genuinely enjoy it. I loved many things about it, and yeah. Now I'm going to go into London to go and meet someone. I'm maybe going to go to a museum or something. I kind of want to do a London thing whilst I will be in London, but we'll see how I feel afterwards. When I'm travelling, I'm going to read Heartstopper, and if I stop off anywhere, I will read Heartstopper. And yeah, I'll check in with you when I've done with that. It is now Thursday evening. I am back from London. I met someone for like a mentoring session from HarperCollins, and that was really, really useful. I'd sent her my CV and she looked over it, said it was like good, just gave me a couple of pointers, spoke about applying, interviews, CVs, cover letters. So that was really, really useful. She also gave me some books, which I totally wasn't expecting because obviously I'm not doing work experience there or anything. I just went for a talk, and so the fact I got some books, you know, was a nice surprise. So the first book I have is Sleep by C.L. Taylor. I think it's like a suspense thriller kind of thing. So I'm really excited about this. I haven't read many like thrillers, but I think this will be really interesting, and it'll be honestly a nice break after reading all the romances. I do have a couple of romances in here, but yeah, I'm quite excited to read this one. This came out last year. The next book I have also came out last year, or the paperback came out last year, is Lies, Lies, Lies by Adele Parks. So again, it'll be a good, interesting change from reading romance. I have a feeling it'll be quite an interesting discussion about family and relationships and expectations. So yeah, I think it'll be good, and I think hopefully both of those are gonna grip me and stress me out. The next two I have are proofs. This one comes out in April, and it is Never Saw You Coming by Hayley Doyle. Hopefully I'll get it read before April. And the final book I got was This Lovely City by Louise Hare. Yeah. And that comes out in March. The back says, the drinks are flowing, the music is playing, but the party can't last. I'll be really interested to read this actually. It sounds a bit different from what I'd usually read, but also really, really interesting. I haven't read a lot about Windrush. I don't really know a lot about it. So yeah, I'm super excited to read all of those. Yeah, that's my... Ow. So yeah, that is my today's book haul. Other things to update on? I'm going to take my hair out because it's really pulling on my head. So I've just finished this. I'm going to put it there because that half of my hair is really messy. I mean, the whole thing is messy. But I've just finished this. I really enjoyed it, rated it 5 stars. I don't know if I liked it more than the second one, because the second one I think is going to be like one of my favourite books. But I think this one dealt with a lot of really good themes, and it dealt with them really, really carefully. So it's got hints of eating disorders, and I think that's going to be touched upon more in the 4th volume. It's also got about coming out, because Nick comes out as bisexual to his mum at the end of the 2nd volume, and this is about him coming out to everyone else but also not wanting to come out to everyone else. It's not that he doesn't want to come out as Charlie's boyfriend, but he saw what Charlie went through, and Charlie knows what Charlie went through and doesn't want Nick to go through it. And so that's really interesting, because there's a line in it that says something like, it's not like in the movies, you don't just come out once, you will come out for the rest of the life. Everyone assumes people are straight, and so even at dinner parties when you're 60, they'll be like, oh, so tell us about your husband. And they're like, well, actually, I've got a wife. So that was really interesting. It had some people, again, that were homophobic or somewhat homophobic, and people that were coming to conclusions about being homophobic. There were also loads of gay characters throughout. Everyone is gay. Also, I just came to this conclusion having finished it. Yeah, they've got like character profiles for all the friends and main characters and stuff. And one of Charlie's friends is called Allard, and I'm sure everyone else has come to this conclusion before, but I hadn't. But I assume Allard is the character from Radio Silence that makes the podcast, because I think he's called Allard, and it says at the back he wants to make a podcast. So yeah, I assume it's the same guy. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Tonight I don't have many plans apart from I will finish The Notebook. I'm gonna finish it tonight because I keep putting it off. I don't really want to watch it. But I'm also going to read volumes 3 and 4 of Scott Pilgrim, because I want them done before the end of the month. I don't know how much time I'll get to read tomorrow, so tomorrow's the end of the month, so they will be read tonight. I might just read one tonight, so then I've only got one to go through tomorrow. So yeah, that's my vague plan. I might do that tonight. I might just sit and watch. Who knows? But yeah, I just thought I'd check in and say hi. So, let's address the elephant in the room. I have mascara under my eyes. I have just finished The Notebook, and the shower made my mascara run, and The Notebook didn't make me cry, but we're here to check in, and it seems fitting to do it like this, because The Notebook is meant to be the most heartbreaking, most romantic, best romance film ever, and I just hated it. I don't know if I would have liked it more had I not seen the Hollyborn talk, but knowing what I know now, I know how bad it is, how damaging, how many bad ideas it gives people. Like, I'm not saying many guys watch this, but if any guys do watch this, they see Noah pestering Ali to say yes, they see Noah pining over her, like, he is obsessed with her for 7 years. I mean, she's still like caught up over him, but she moves on, she gets engaged to someone else, she moves on with her life, she does other things. But he spends 7 years waiting for her. He buys the house that she really wants, he makes it look exactly how she wants, and then he doesn't sell it because he expects her to come back. And if that was a girl, she would be the crazy ex-girlfriend, but because it's a guy, it's romantic. And it's not. It's just, there are so many problems with it. He doesn't listen to her. They fight all the time. I do not believe that if they were a real couple, they would stay together for 60 odd years, I think if they did stay together, it was only because divorce wasn't a big thing in the like 50s and 60s. I think that's the only reason they would have stayed together as long as they did, because you can't get divorced, or it's harder to get divorced, and then you stay together out of almost like a stubbornness. You don't love each other anymore. So yeah, didn't enjoy The Notebook. Don't really know why everyone else does. I felt most sad at the end when he was watching his wife die. But that's only because it must genuinely be heartbreaking. It's not because it was heartbreaking for them, which it would have been, but because it's genuinely a heartbreaking experience for anyone to go through, to see a loved one forget who you are. That was what was sad for me. I don't know if that's what's sad for everyone else, but The Notebook didn't do it for me. The Notebook is definitely my least favourite romance I have watched. Hi everyone, it's now Sunday, so long past the end of January, but I'm just checking in because over the weekend because Sam's here, I didn't do a lot of reading. Basically over Friday and Saturday I read volumes 3 and 4 of Scott Pilgrim. I liked them as much as the last ones. I liked volume 4 a bit more, just because it was a bit more interesting. It was a bit more about the relationship as it was, and a bit more about the characters and what they thought of each other. But yeah, basically that's all the reading I've done. I'm quite enjoying just being able to be like, I can read when I want, rather than feeling like I need to read all the romance books. So I read 16 books in January and 1 in February so far, but I'm gonna not read next month, but I'm gonna be a bit more chill about my reading. There's obviously a lot of books I want to read, but I'm not gonna like feel like I need to be reading at every moment of the day. I'm not gonna vlog next month. But yeah, basically I'm just checking out now, saying thank you for watching all my babbling about all the romances. Thank you for putting up with me, and you'll undoubtedly see me again in another reading vlog and another video, I think. No, I was going to say, I think when this goes up, my January wrap-up will have gone up, but it won't have done. It will be going up like 3 days later. So when that does go up, I will link that down in the description, and the description of all the other reading vlogs, so you can like see my thoughts more coherently. But yeah, if you've got this far, thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and comment down below if you've read any of these books. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!